All right, welcome to the G Spot Live with your host, LaTanya Taylor, also affectionately and professionally known as the Rev Coach. The G Spot Live is a show to really enhance our conversations about all things woman. And of course, the G is for goddess. It's all the goddess spot. But it can be for anything G that you want it to be, because there won't be any topics left off. And so today I wanted to continue to expand this conversation that we've been having about womanhood. I think I did two parts of it. One day I was talking about womanhood still being under attack and how we may not be aware of it globally because many of us are focused on our hemisphere, if you will, the radius around us. We're not oftentimes focused outside of us. And I'll be darned if there wasn't an opportunity for the conversation to expand some more, because Erykah Badu tweeted her opinion on a decision regarding a school saying that a high school should lower their skirts. And she said, I agree, so that male teachers aren't distracted. And she says, I agree. We are sexual beings. We should consider everyone. Young girls are attractive and some males are distracted. Okay, listen. So she starts then to get flack. She begins to get flack from Twitter. They absolutely disagree with her, kind of went crazy. And basically, was calling her anti-feminist. Okay, you with me? I'm going to read to you. And so I love that Erykah Badu came back basically next day. And she wrote the title, what the title of this G Spot Live is. I actually lifted it from her. And she wrote, Sacredness versus Slut-Shaming. She said, peace. Keep in mind, I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my shit. I'm also very sensitive how the sacred mother has been viewed and treated in our societies throughout history. Once John Lennon, in his non-conforming voice, protectively said, women are the niggers of the world. Couldn't be truer. We have always taken a back seat and quite often a backhand. I've been accused of participating in slut-shaming. I'm now understanding that this is a popular term in our nation today. In our oversexed, patriarchal rule world, we as women have had our share of discrimination, so much that we get clouded with fury as we fight for equality and empowerment. But America, you got me fucked up. Talk about missing the point. It is not shaming to tell a woman that at times it's necessary to wear clothing that fits her environment. That's love. I know it's confusing, and we girls are angry. I know it's confusing, and we girls are angry and often blame hell for everything. But my point is, can we not be modest about feeling suppressed? How can we teach our daughters freedom without teaching them sacredness? There is a balance, she writes in all caps. Of course, this is all relative, but I'm old-fashioned, anciently in fact. And I am aware that we cannot change our condition with a tweet about dress code. But we do what we can. My thoughts, tweets about the male species or the men in our society, okay, were purely biological and not meant to justify or accuse. But this is where we disconnect. I did not create an enemy or a villain in my statement, so others quickly injected one. I love that part. Seems the only real enemy in this type of dialogue is not fully understanding the nature of periods and morning wood. All caps. This has nothing to do with sexism, just, well, sex. I instead posed a non-biased point of view, since we were indeed discussing men in classrooms who were not accused of being a rapist or nor deviants, and could very well be decent human beings like your fathers and husbands, yet still human beings biologically capable of being attracted to young women. That's nature. Whether we think they should or shouldn't be, that's morality, law. That there would be no need for moral law if it were naturally moral. In retrospect, I was only thinking of everyone in the learning environment and the sacredness of our young women and men, especially because I personally would like to see teens in the learning environment dress age appropriate. Grown women can wear what they want. Check this out. And so she quotes what someone said about her. And she goes on to share, my point of view was based on nature, not moral law. There would be no need for moral law if we naturally behave morally. Somehow the friendly debate turned into rape, slut-shaming, victim blaming. Though these are valid gripes from women in this overly sexed society, I don't feel they apply to my argument. However, I welcome all views until they become fruitless. It is not shaming to tell a young woman that at times it's necessary to wear clothing that fits her environment. That's loved. Following these original tweets are interactions with fam on Twitter. We had a healthy multi-layered discussion. Thanks for your thoughts. Doesn't seem that hard to understand, but what I do know is absolutely nothing. Badu. I know that was long, but it was substantive, and that's why I read it, because of course Twitter goes Black Twitter tends to just kind of go off, and oh, my honey is here. Hey, honey. Black Twitter tends to just kind of go off and attack anything that, especially the Black feminists, advocates. And I thought that it was no accident. And this is really not about feminism, but I thought it was no accident that I'm going to be hydrating a lot with some peppermint water tonight. So I don't have a coughing spell with you. Can we not talk about womanhood on a global level without people getting offended and defensive? Can we not know the difference between discernment and being judgmental? And that's why I thought that it was very interesting that on the same day, Danielle LaPorte also did a piece on feminism is a consciousness. And she talked about it in such a loving way. I'm going to try to pick an excerpt from her as well, because here you have wisdom coming from one wisdom mother, and one happens to be European, and the other wisdom mother is Erykah Badu. And what I said in my video, my Facebook Live video, is that that's no accident. It's no accident that these types of conversations are coming up, because we need to have them, and we need to have them in a way that's not accusatory, that's not calling people judgmental with judgment. especially when we're talking about womanhood and liberation and empowerment. It makes no sense to me. So I'm going to see this new feature that that BLAB is included. So it's to see if you can see the piece from Danielle LaPorte, who I too adore. And I think that she, for her or Erykah Badu to be called feminist is absolutely crazy. So my guest, who is actually a well-traveled expert in creative, but she's saying that her computer is not downloading Chrome, and she's not sure how to download it, and I can't troubleshoot it for her. Let's see. So, and then the link is still working from Danielle LaPorte. But basically, I can sum it up really quickly. Danielle LaPorte spoke to the issue with, well, not really an issue, but she spoke to Kim Kardashian and the intention behind hypersexuality, which I like that word, because oftentimes when we're talking about sensuality, people get confused with hypersexuality as though that's freedom. And hypersexuality is not freedom. Hyper anything or under anything, you know, is not necessarily the expression of liberation based off of intention. And so she talked about to Kim Kardashian, and she said it would be a difference if you took naked pictures and said, I'm taking this picture. I'm taking this picture because there was a time and a day when women would be stoned or persecuted because they even if they showed their ankle, which it would be different than just taking a picture to say, I can't find anything to wear. Give me some attention. And that she has such a big platform. It's like, okay, you've made your money. So why not turn it into something that can be a contribution? That's not necessarily empowerment. And I think that as we are approaching these conversations on womanhood, feminism, sensuality, what's sexuality, what's sacred, and now the new term that's being overly used, which is slut-shaming. It's not really a new term. It's been around, but it came to the national spotlight when Amber Rose used it. And she did the video where she took the slut walk. All right, are you all familiar with that? Well, if you can also type in the comments if you are familiar or have an opinion or that type of thing. Or you want to join the seat if you're watching. Those of you who are watching, the 14 or so of you who are watching, I'd love for you to come over into the room to have an actual conversation with me. Otherwise, I probably won't broadcast that long since our guest couldn't get in. I see that you keep popping in and out, Veronica. So if you got in thus far, you might actually be able to just call in. You'll see a little button that says call in. Veronica has an awesome platform to actually capture women's stories, because here's the thing. The reason why these conversations are important to have is because we have stories. Many of us have stories that we've never told. We walk with those stories. We lay down with those stories. We go to work with them. We go to church with them. We dress them up. We cover them up, these stories. And when it's not safe for a woman to be able to explore her sensuality, and what I loved about what Erykah Badu said is that a grown woman can do just about it. You know, you can do anything. But we do have to know the environment. Even as a grown woman, we have to know the environment, because there are some cultures where women don't have access to the type of expression that we have. And that's why Audre Lorde is another phenomenal writer that talks about us understanding womanhood or sisterhood on another level, right? And so there are some ancient practices in other cultures globally that we don't understand here in America. So I give an example. My sister is supposed to be coming through from the womb sauna. She actually is one of the guest experts that will be featured on the Orgasmic Abundant Woman Telus Summit that's coming up on the 26th. And she says that I keep pressing call in, but it isn't working, but I'm engaged. Okay, I don't see you calling in, so just keep trying. I always say that BLAB is in beta mode, so sometimes it's not always your equipment, especially if it's new. Sometimes it moves slow, it gets stuck, and all that. So where was I? I was talking about what? That's the other thing about doing this show alone, is that you got to manage the comments and people coming in and all that good stuff. It's all good though. I can do it. I was born for this. But there are experiences that women in the West are not aware of with women who are abroad in the world. And there are women who are abroad who aren't aware of experiences and expressions of women in the West. And and I'll go further. There are women in the South who aren't aware of women's expression in the North and the East and the West. And so what happens is we judge womanhood based off of our limited experience and exposure. And if other women do not fall within the boundaries of what we believe womanhood is, then oftentimes we make her wrong. And I don't believe that is healthy for us as women. I said on a Facebook Live that there are archetypes to the goddess. And if we knew as a culture the archetypes of womanhood, we would be able to access the gifts and the talents and the abilities of every woman in a way that served us, that's non-competitive, non-shaming. And I get slut-shaming, but when pop culture comes out, I never attach myself to pop culture just because I am a womanist or because I'm pro-woman. I can be pro-woman without being a feminist, because I said that any ism is very, very limiting. It's very boxed, and it keeps us in a fight. And sometimes there's nothing to fight. And that's one of the things that I don't care for when it comes to the whole Black Twitter or Twitter, is because sometimes they pick fights where there is no fight. It doesn't have to be a fight. Just because you have dialogue about something doesn't mean that there's a fight or somebody has to be wrong. So let me see. Veronica says, our womanhood is so much more. Our stories shape our sense, our perspective, our experience. I agree. And that's why I wanted Veronica to actually get into the seat to share, because she is actually working on a project called Wonder Women. And it is the phenomenal women amongst us who are carrying everyday stories. And I say everyday stories not to mean that they are common, but stories that happen to women every day, and we don't tell or we don't share, from experiences from the color of our skin and how we relate in our families, to body shame, to there's a movement called I Told, to where people are talking about their molestation stories, and no longer holding those stories. And I love that. I love what Veronica is doing, and she's very well traveled. And I really, really wanted to share the conversation with her. It's time to drink. No coughing spells tonight. I didn't intend to talk this much. My husband was like, "You're not going to be doing all that talking, are you?" Sorry, honey. Okay, but I'm taking care of myself while I'm doing it. Okay? So, and you can continue to place in the chat. But our sister, also the sister, she's supposed to be coming through as well, is Dama Aziz of the Womb Sauna, is going to be talking on the Orgasmic Abundant Woman Telus Summit about how our health is wealth. Because one of the things that I'm doing in my work is actually elevating the way that we even hold our stories, because we also, many of us, in addition to this whole radical feminism deal, or whatever, we also have an attachment to the so-called Black woman struggle. We have an attachment to the Black woman struggle, the narrative of struggle that is directly related to the slave experience. What's interesting about that is that every culture of woman has a story. Every culture, a collective culture, has a story, a collective story. Okay? And no matter whether you're Irish, Jewish, Italian, the different variations of Espanol, every culture of womanhood has a story. When we cling onto those stories as our identity, we become very limited. And how is it that we can know the story and not be attached to the story? And one of the things that I'm doing in my work, one of the things that I'm doing in my work is supporting Black women with being able to hold the energy and the power of business, abundance, and pleasure. Because we have been taught that we have to be bifurcated, trifurcated, split into all kind of pieces, compartmentalized. And a part of feminine understanding and awareness is being able to integrate all of it such that it serves you in your life, or the assignment that's on your life. And when we are attached to this struggle narrative in womanhood, the struggle narrative creates lack. It creates more of the pain body. The struggle narrative creates the fight. So even with our highfalutin degrees and our articulate language and our ability to tweet in 140 characters and say the most eloquent things in 140 characters, that's all fine and dandy, but that's not healing wholeness, and it's certainly not increasing our net worth, because we have plenty of degrees, but look at the condition of our our people. Black women alone are worth $1 billion. Black women. We traffic in $1 billion plus in this economy. But if we are consumers and we're not concierge, so I also have a guest coming on the Orgasmic Abundant Woman Telus Summit that will be talking about succulent success and how to shift from being the consumer to the connoisseur. Okay, sounds good, y'all. The next guest is this is a great segue, because as we talk about freedom and liberation, what's sacred versus what's hypersexual, and our stories, we store these stories in our womb. And so I have a woman's health expert who is coming to talk about the unarmored pussy. The unarmored pussy. Now that might be a term for you that's like, what is that, huh? Many of us have armored wombs and we don't even know it, because we've stored traumas there. And so it makes us not available and accessible to first of all, our emotions, our health, and our wealth, as well as our orgasm. And so we've been armored there. And so she's talking about turning it from a weapon into worth. That's good right there. Yes. And she is Denise Ford, also known as the Beauty Queen. She will be joining us. And these are all powerful sessions, shaping sessions that absolutely, if a woman could leave there accessing a new story, a new way of being. I hope you're still trying to get in, Veronica. The next guest we have coming is talking about bliss in business and good loving after 50. Sometimes we begin to think about retirement, and retirement is everything, not just work. And, you know, I hear some of the elders say, you know how when you stop working, you just start getting sick and that type of thing. And I love the fact that when I was living abroad, I met so many elders who had retired and had planned their money just so that they could live the kind of life that they wanted to live. So we're going to be talking to, she calls herself the Empress of Bliss, Patty Cannon. She will be joining us. She is a spiritual life practitioner as well. Let me see who else I'm leaving some. Okay, then when we begin to talk about our stories and global womanhood and releasing these stories for us to access our abundance, we have Miss Dion Wood of she doesn't like to say it, but she can't run from it. She's she is a pastor. She actually pastored a church, but she leads her own feminine empowerment, I would say, ministry. And she's known as I Am Miss Butterfly. And she will be talking about the outdated mother model. Now, you know, that's a passionate story of my, in passionate sessions that I have for women, because as we approach Mother's Day, there are going to be so many women who may not be able to purchase the card that Hallmark has available to them. But this culture, this society does not make it safe for the unmothered woman to actually share that and voice that. And there are many women who have been unmothered or not mothered well, particularly if you were mothered under fear, distress, if you were mothered under threat. And so oftentimes Black women mothered in a way to keep you alive, to make sure you knew how to survive. And so here we are as grown women, still in survival mode, still in scarcity and abundance, still having an enemy. And oftentimes now we've been programmed to make our man our enemy. Veronica said, releasing our stories to access our abundance. Yes, Veronica, absolutely. Let me see. Oh, and then next we have the next guest expert that we have is social media money, because many of us use social media or misuse social media and talk about what we don't have. We don't talk about we don't have no money, we can't access no money. And there are people using it, being creative. They're using their story. They're using their gifts. They're using their talents rather than to gossip, rather than to just be entertained. And so when you talk about you don't have no money, you don't have no this, you don't have no that, the people that want it, startup entrepreneurs, mompreneurs, you want to be in this session. Social media money. And we have, and her topic will be effortless expansion. And I call her the social media ninja, social media strategy ninja. She is Sensei Sabira, also known as Reverend Sensei Sabira Falami. She will be joining us as well to present some ways for us to access creative business models, to create passive streams of income. Don't you want passive streams of income? Let me see. Did I go through everybody? PJ, Dion. I think I said it wrong. Did I say the succulent success? She actually is a financial advisor and expert, and she has a brand called Sexy Money. Her name is Denise Cooper, and she's of Cooper Financial, and she will be joining us to talk about succulent success. I think I talked about that first when I talked about moving from being consumers to being connoisseurs. She's really, really freaking awesome. And of course we'll have yours truly, me, to talk about how and to train actually on how business and pleasure does mix using a feminine business model. So I guess the topic definitely has changed. I'm going to just give a few moments for Veronica to get in, if you can. Can you get in? No? I don't think she can get in. Kristen, you want to join me in the seat tonight? Just for a minute. I would love to see your face. Kristen. It's like, and she's so shy. She really doesn't like, she's like, oh, thanks for the invite. I knew it would be a stretch. You forgot that I remembered that you are shy. Well, Veronica has tried to join us. I guess a few of the other folks who are passing through the BLAB. In the future, you all, those of you who were going to join us, listen, if you're watching, if you want to get in on the conversation, it's so much more fun when people are able to come in and jump into the seat and we are able to actually have a conversation. For the few of you who are watching right now, when you go to blab.im, if you already have a Twitter account, you literally just put in your Twitter username and your password. That's it. Your BLAB account is set up. You can go and watch live BLABs that are streaming right now, just like mine. You can look at what's scheduled and click subscribe. And then you'll get a notification when the BLAB comes on, and you can actually come in and dialogue. So for those of you who are watchers, here's a tip. Get off of the sidelines, those of you who are just watchers, because if you have a business, a product, or a service, it is a great way to exercise visibility without being direct. It's a great way to get involved in conversation and connection. We got this thing all twisted when it comes to social media. You know, everybody's turning into just a salesperson without the connection. And when we talk about women and womanhood, women, you don't have to act like men. It's not your job to become competitors like men, that you only are about your agenda and only about your program and your platform. It's an opportunity to really connect with another person, and it happens organically. Now, some of us don't want organic success. Some of us want it right now. And I tell you that that is the spirit of desperation, which feeds lack. And you can be hungry or thirsty for what it is that you know that you are up to, or the lifestyle that you want in the world, without going about it in a way that is all about you. And so one of the things social media is doing, it is eroding our ability to have conversations. And I assure you, if you're parents, if you are raising children, they have no conflict resolution skills, because oftentimes it's a device. That's what we got. We have the kids doing now with iPads at 3, and you think that's cute. But then when real life happens, they don't have any tools. And that's because you're not giving them the tools. You're not practicing the tools. And it's numbing us from being able to connect. And one of the reasons that I love BLAB is because it allows me to connect with you without just talking at you. It allows you to be heard, and that your voice and your opinion actually matters. Because we definitely have them. And so what social media does is, instead of you standing in your power and sharing your true voice about something, we protect the image, or we write passive aggressive posts about somebody or something without calling them or naming them. That doesn't get us the biggest vibrational pull for what it is that we do want. So if you're watching, I hope that little nugget helped you, because there are some people out there who have worthy products and brands, and the seat is open for anyone to actually come in and to share. And so I think what I'm going to do tonight, since I'm really not supposed to be doing all this talking now, and I have the Telus Summit coming up, I'm going to preserve my voice and my energy, because I'll probably do a Facebook Live tomorrow. And I would, like to invite all of you who are watching to the Abundant Woman Telus Summit. That is, thank you, Veronica, for that support with your beautiful self. Next, we'll have you back on another time. You'll get a chance to test it out. We'll have you back on, and it'll be perfect. This is a Mercury retrograde, by the way, good people. It's been little glitches almost immediately with this retrograde. So it's the next, I think it's about 11 days total. We all need to be patient with these suddenlies, with these detours, with this unexpected, because Mercury is in retrograde, and Mercury controls travel, communication, electronics, multimedia, that type of thing. And what it means is that the planet Mercury is moving backwards. It's not a bad thing. Some people make it a negative thing. It's not a negative thing. It can be negative when you're unaware and irresponsible and unintentional. But when you are aware, it means that you have to slow down, forgive a little easier, and be patient with yourself and with others. So I'm not really surprised. It's been something every day with technology. Some of you tried to register for the summit, and I found out that the link was broken. So go back and register if you can. Just go to the orgasmicabundantwoman.com, the Orgasmic Abundant Woman, and submit your registration, and share this phenomenal summit. Everybody is saying that they want to teach about how to make your first $5,000 or $100,000 in 30 days. And, you know, that's great. But abundance is an energy, it's a lifestyle, it's a way of being. It's not just about getting. It's not just about pushing. It is an energy that expands who you are, and what you experience. And to do that orgasmically, what beef do you have now? Tell me, what beef do you have about expanding all that you desire in your life, mind, body, and spirit, for it to be orgasmic? Or were you taught that they don't dwell together? Well, that's part of the problem, is that we haven't been taught that the orgasm is the most spiritual mind, body, spirit experience in the human experience. When your Kundalini rises, it allows you to heal. It allows you access to new consciousness. Many people who are having the physical orgasm are not having the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual orgasms. And the ones who think that they're having the physical orgasms are only having the little girl's orgasm or the little boy's orgasm. So no matter how you hold it, there's room for expansion, wouldn't you say? And so Veronica says, you're doing a phenomenal job, my sister. I'm thrilled to be here and support you. Even more excited to partner with you in raising consciousness globally. I'm excited to partner with Veronica Very, who is a fabulous creative, who has called together women, and she calls it Wonder Women. Give me the title. Can you drop the title in there, Veronica? And I will also drop the link for the Orgasmic Abundant Woman Telus Summit. Make sure you join us. I'm going to, I'm just 10 minutes shy of ending the 1 hour show. I'm going to get some rest. I'm telling you, I don't look like what I've been through to this day. I could not even sit up this morning. I talked to my husband. I think I fell asleep talking to him, because he's my medicine man, and just his energy, his presence just calmed me, and my breathing and all of that. And I have not had an asthma attack. The Wonder of Woman is the name of Veronica's project. The Wonder of Women. The Wonder of Women. I haven't had an asthma attack in years. So, I'm still listening to spirit from what is the message, because nothing just happens. And I know that when you are playing a bigger game in your life, things will come up to distract you. When you decide that you are going to elevate, there are going to be things that come at you physically, emotionally, and mentally. And I declared and decreed all day this morning, I will be better. I will be able to do this show. I will be able to get the objectives that I have done, because guess what? This is mine. I'm not working for anybody else. And so I can do this. And so my body submitted to my decree. And so I'm going to take care of it because it took care of me. So you listen, I love you all, and there's nothing you can do about it. Those of you who tuned in and watched tonight, thank you for at least watching the show, the G Spot Live, and hanging in there with me for this hour. Veronica will have you back on. We'll be all the way live and everything will be in divine order. All right. Ciao, everyone.